Hello and welcome to another SH Figuarts review. After waiting for so many years, we finally have an SH Figuarts Kiva form, and for those of you who don't know, when Kamen Kiva came out, that was the year when the Shochaku Henshin line was ending, and for many years that was the main line where Kamen Rider figures would come out. I have done a few reviews on some of those figures, the Hibiki and Kuga stuff, but if you want to check those videos out, basically that's a figure line where the armor can come off the torso. The torso had some basic joints, nowhere near as good as what you get with Figuarts, and the armor was usually made out of die-cast metal, as well as having the helmet come off, and because they had the whole helmet gimmick, the heads were very tiny and looked very stupid, but it was a fun thing to play around with for a while, I guess. During the year Kamen Rider Kiva, the Shochaku Henshin line ended and the SH figure line was born, originally to just release figures for the Kamen Rider the First and the Next movies. It's now pretty much evolved into one of the biggest lines for Bandai. And it was during that time that we did get some Kiva related figures, such as the Kiva Emperor form, as well as the Kamen Rider Ixa figures, and I think Dark Kiva. As for the Shochaku Henshin line, we had the regular Kiva form and all of these other color forms, but we didn't reach to any of the Emperor forms. And for many years, fans have been using the Shochaku Henshin Kiva figure to fill in the gap. You see, the Henshin line also evolved over time. If you compare Kuga to Kiva, the quality is night and day. They are very different. The scales were improving, the head gimmick was eventually removed, and the overall joints articulation were also improved. But when you compare that Kiva figure to any of the SH figures you have today, it's still shorter, doesn't have compound eye effects, and overall the proportions are just a little bit off. But still got die-cast parts, and for example the whole metal leg gimmick thing, that kind of works. Some people who had that figure did pick up some of the chibi stuff to replace the head with something with transparent eye effects, and overall it looked okay. And out of all the Henshin figure stuff, the Kiva stuff doesn't look too bad. But of course when you compare it to something like this, a huge jump in gap. Aside from this, you also have this 20th anniversary Heisei stand thing, which I'll take a look at that in a moment. I don't care for it at all. And let's see how well this figure holds up. And does this figure meet our expectations after all of the nice official photos and after all these years of waiting? The height and the width of this is the same as the regular sort of real bone box sizes. So if I just bring that in, you can see this will fit very nicely. And actually, will it fit inside here too? Almost. So don't do that. But it will fit on the shelf comfortably next to your Kiva figures and any of the other real bone figures. On the back of here, there's the basic instructions printed on here because there's no extra piece of paper printed inside, and that's totally fine. Don't need to waste extra paper on that. What they did do is, just like the Kamen Rider Zeo and Gates ones that came with Figuarts Gates, they're also in this sort of foggy bag, which does feel very nice. I feel like I can use this for something, but I'm not sure what. Maybe I can make a cape out of it? Is this plastic solid enough? Ooh, no. Maybe if I'm really gentle with it, I can make a cape out of it. So anyway, so I got the different parts split into different parts of that bag, and of course you have the stand right here. So this is of course a bit different to the CEO and Gates one, they're all pointing that way. If you have picked up the stand set, the Heisei one where you had like 5 in each, they would probably look exactly the same as this, same mold and stuff. Much like the other stands. Don't know why this paper was designed to be removable in the other ones, because only one paper will fit in them. Future proofing maybe, but in this case all Heisei riders have the same one, right? So they're gonna just fit in there, just line it up with the plastic grooves, and then you get this piece that covers on top of that. Come on, plug in. It's like one of those USB things where if you don't look at it, it doesn't plug in right. Like, I want to fit in, it should be in the right position. Anyway, so this fits in, and the plastic shell, this one stays on a bit better than the CEO and Gates one I had, but it's not permanently on there. It's very easy to pop off, so be careful, I guess. As always, there is a plug on the front. Again, why they didn't provide this is just stupid. Like, this is a stand, but it doesn't have the handle or support on the back to act as a stand. So it's just a base plate. You just stand the figure on it and hope it doesn't fall, I guess. Or Bandai simply saying, please go buy our Stage X sets. I think not. And here we are. Let's take a closer look at the top of him first. The helmet does look okay. The compound eye effects on him are actually pretty awesome. And you can see in the photos later, it was so easy just to make the eyes look good because of how the compound eye effects are just really well done. The pattern on top of the helmets also look pretty good, and there's just enough black shading or some sort of black wash going on in the gaps. The helmet split is also quite natural. Feels like that's where the suit would have actually split, so that's alright. And the coloring and overall on the top of the helmet is pretty good too. The green gem right down the forehead, pretty nice. But we do have a pretty ugly molding mark there on his chin. Still, overall, I think the helmet is really well done. Unfortunately not the torso, because Bandai for some reason decided to put a molding split right on the front of the torso. Like, is this really the best place to put that? Right there in the middle. So not only do I have a huge plastic line going down the middle of this whole figure, like your eyes are just focused to it because it's right on the front. This molding line there has also affected the painting, so I have a little black mark I have to fix there myself. Just dab a little black dots there to fill in that gap. And after that, the torso isn't painted that well either. There's a lot of edges around the red and the silver that don't quite fit or don't quite hit it, and it just looks kind of awkward. Again, I feel like there's something I can fix, but it's still annoying. And I have a black sort of hairline mark on the chest there, so oh well. Belt for last. Moving down to the legs, the overall matte color are pretty good, and the overall silver look and dirt on the chain leg is also pretty good too. So overall, not really any complaints with the leg look, but I do have a complaint here because this foot comes off really easily. There's something wrong with the ball joint in there, and I'm definitely not happy. Like, posing this for just on a shelf would be fine. It does stay in there, doesn't like shoot off anything. I wonder if I can fix it with hot water. But when I was taking photos, it got a little bit annoying, and of course, it's gonna be annoying anyway. Like, you buy a toy, it's not exactly cheap, and you have problems like this. Like, just look at how easy it just pops off. That's really irritating. Moving back to the arms, the matte finish is also quite nice here, and the hands swapped very nicely too, so no complaints on them. Back of the torso, fortunately, is painted quite nicely, and so are the silver shoulder pads on him as well. Next, I want to go over the frustles here. These are done quite nicely. They are molded transparent pieces. They look quite good, and the paint job they've done on them are definitely better than what they had on some of the bottles on build, for example. These are painted just right, and I'm very happy with them. So we have our final attack one here. We have the summoning castle one. I forget what the third one's for. And of course, on the other side, we have the different Kiva forms. So Docker, I forgot green and purple, because one's like the Creature of the Black Lagoon, and we have Frankenstein's monster, so all based on classic horror stuff. And these slide into the little pouch very nicely. You actually have to slide them in, they don't just peg on. So this is functioning much like the DX toy or how it did in the show. The belt silver painting is also quite nice. Really don't like this huge sort of molding cut there. Quite ugly. And oh look, the tramp stamp. But on the front here, this I'm quite happy with. The Kiva bat. Oh, his mouth's open. Whoops. There's an articulation point there. So he plugs in just like he does in the show. Like, he actually like, to put him in, he actually had to have his claws hang on this handlebar right there, and then like rotate him into the belt just like he does in the show and the toys. So that's pretty cool. So I'm just gonna unplug him there for a sec. Now he comes with a little transparent plastic piece that you plug onto his back. So he does have those two pegs there. Unfortunately, that's forgivable. And that little transparent piece plugs onto a figure display stand. So that's good. I guess stay jacked. Aside from his mouth that opens, which you can plug a vessel in, then that's the point of it, his wings also flap. So that's really cool. On top of that, his eyes are transparent and have compound eye effects. This looks really good, and it functions, and not only is it painted well, the molding patterns on the wings are also a very nice touch, and there are details on the back as well. So all in all, the best part of this figure, aside from the compound eyes and the helmet, this Figuart bat is really, really good, and the thistles are really, really good too. And I just wish that the quality control is a little bit better, because outside of me, there's been other people complaining online, and probably more so because of how expensive this became in the aftermarket. That's definitely annoying, but if you got this for the original price, I think the overall look of it is definitely quite good. So aside from the fist already attached to the figure, we also have some relaxed hands, a thruster holding hand, and a pair of his posing hands. Now you might be wondering where his item holding hands are, or bike holding hands are. Well, the bike's going to come out, it's going to come with those hands, a chair, it's like Emperor's throne, as well as his violin. So the accessories are there, so Bandai seems to like doing that now. Maybe they're thinking people didn't buy the bikes all that much, which I find odd for, you know, Kamen Rider fans. Of course they would buy the bikes, right, if the bikes were cool. But yeah, that's definitely an annoying thing that they're doing now, putting accessories with the bike. At least this time it's not just the bike, and they're justifying it because you do have a violin and you do have a big chair in it as well, so that's okay, I guess. As mentioned earlier, it also has that little plastic peg to hold Kiva on a Figuart stand, stage act stand, and of course has his right lower leg swappable for this, where the silver chain thing has popped open. The painting on the front here is overall okay. Now the wings are made of very soft plastic, reminds me of like stuff you get with Figma figures, so I hope it doesn't break in time and just stays. Underneath you have this red dot there on its boot. But what I don't like about this is if I turn this over to the other side, now the silver is painted just fine, but they decided to print some shadows on there. And by print, I mean it has that really ugly newspaper look to it. You see, the grey lines are fine, but not the green lines. The green shadow shading there is printed like a newspaper and uses like a dot matrix style, just lots of dots to symbolize shading. And these dots are very obvious, not under the lens, just looking at it, it's very obvious. And I sort of get what this is. This is meant to be like the pattern before the leg opens up, but I almost feel like this would have been better if they just didn't have that and it was just silver. It would have been fine. But no, they have this really ugly printing there, and I don't like it a lot. So head can move back that far, looks forward, sideways, sideways, and full rotation here. The back of his armor, I guess, this piece here is on, I think, a double ball peg or something. It just sort of moves out the way when you kind of need it to. But you see, it doesn't really move too much. Here's like some of the moving chest armor they would have gotten in other figures. So, shoulder pads are attached to the upper arm and get out of the way, so you can move it up. Only about this much because that's about flat area. Full rotation here, of course, and you got the regular dumbbell joint in there for maximum articulation, I suppose. Articulation here, double elbow joint. This shoulder pads do get in the way when you do that. And hands on a peg and swivel, as always. Torso moves back a little bit. This is actually a separate piece here, and I actually tried separating this torso area to see if I can put a decker driver on him, but I was actually getting worried I was going to break something in there, because I guess in order to that leg fell off. In order to achieve this whole joint and stomach system that looks really good, to be honest, what have they done here? They put some extra joints in there. I'll try to figure it out and see how I can separate them, because I feel like all of the new Kamen Riders should be able to remove their belt, so I could put the decker driver on here, because, you know, because funsies and stuff. Instead of splitting the body, I've also considered, has anyone tried like just cutting these belts and then finding some other way for them to, you know, actually plug together and attach? Is that the thing? Like, you can customize it, you can easily remove the belts without popping the torso all the time. That would be really cool to do. Anyway, so you can look that far back, that far forward, sideways, sideways. And of course, as mentioned, the Fob Belt has his own set of articulations. Again, his mouth's open. So leg goes up, leg goes back. As I do this, I'm pushing it against the upper leg so it doesn't pop off. And then sideways, and joints are hidden quite well, of course. And this rotates just a little bit. I might as well plug it up. You can see there's a little bit of a gap there, so it doesn't rotate 360. Whatever. And the leg is hard plastic, but this piece here on top is soft plastic, just so it doesn't break, I guess. Double knee joint. Foot goes up, toe goes up, foot goes down, sideways and sideways. And just a quick look at the bottom of his boots. And the other replacement legs also has the same feet Articulation, they didn't cheap out on that. So in terms of the overall look of the figure, it's pretty good. I like the helmet, I like Kiva, and I like the thistles as well. The coloring is nice too, and definitely looks like he does from the show. Unfortunately, the molding does leave a little bit to be desired, and some of the choices are just kind of bizarre and odd. But overall, if you have a figure with a decent enough quality control, that's fine too. In terms of accessories, he does have enough, and it is very unfortunate that any of his item holding hands are stuck with the bike, and if you don't want to pick that up, then Kiva's gonna have a hard time holding any items well. And that's very annoying, and I really don't like that. But this isn't the worst case of this. Some of the cases have been worse than this. Here, it's annoying. It's still not great. It could be worse. But in terms of the playability, I like this a lot. The vessels do function as they would, and Kiva has his own articulation and also functions as he would. This is really awesome, and this is what I continue to expect from any Real-Bone figure that comes out. Just all of this functionality and all of this playability. And I hope that the regular Figuarts line will also continue to do stuff like this as well. You can sort the watches on Seihou despite not having the details on it. You can also sort the bottles on build, etc, etc. So those are good steps forward, and I hope that those regular Figuarts have those too. But with Real-Bone figures and the higher price point, I expect every of these figures to at least have stuff like this. And Kiva can do his signature kicking pose just before he does his rider kick when he kicks his leg up. This figure can do that without any stand support, so kudos right there. Since this Figuarts release of Kamen Rider Kiva form is one of the last Heisei Kamen Rider's main forms, regular forms, to be released in the SH Figuarts line, everyone was buying him or wanting to buy him to complete their Heisei lineup. And because of that, also lots of shops are taking advantage of this. So when the pre-orders came out for Kiva, even though he's just a regular release to the shops, people were already pre-ordering it and the orders were sold out so quickly. Not only were people wanting to buy this and shops taking advantage, there are also resellers taking advantage of this situation as well. Now, I didn't pay the crazy prices, but I also didn't manage to pre-order this because right now Bandai has the big stock coming out and the prices are going down. If you like Kamen Rider Kiva and like the Heisei Riders, this is a good time to pick it up now. It might go down just a little bit more, but there's also the risk of its price going up again. All of the Real-Bone Kamen Rider figures in the past have gone up in price, with few exceptions, such as, I guess, Ibuki, he's gone down, Amazon's gone down, but eventually they all go up in price. So I just really hesitate to wait any longer if you want to pick up this rider and complete your Heisei lineup. So yeah, if you can get this close to the regular price, I definitely recommend you picking up this figure. It's just unfortunate that the quality control isn't quite there, but even at the worst places, it's not a disaster. It's okay. But if you did pay for crazy hiked up prices, you're definitely going to be disappointed with some of the odd choices that Bandai has decided to pursue. So in that sense, the overall shape and look of the figure is nice, but the molding options are But the molding choices are just weird. Why have a huge scar or line on the torso, right in the front and the middle? I just find that really odd. But overall, if your quality control is decent enough, you'll have a nice Kiva figure to complete your Heisei lineup. So if you want that, pick him up now. Don't wait. Honestly, a bit of a disappointment here, Bandai. Like, you know many people are waiting for this figure, and you know many people are gonna go out and get it. You would think that quality control will be a thing here, right? I mean, this figure isn't exactly cheap either. This figure's price range is of course higher than the regular Figuarts, and that's just really frustrating. I recommend anyone who wants Heisei stuff to complete it, to hurry up and get this figure right now, but you gotta be prepared that you might have some quality control issues. Outside of that, if you're lucky, it's still a very nice figure, so that's just annoying. Right now, so a similar thing is happening to the Kamen Rider O's Real-Bone figure with the new improved gimmick of an SH Figuarts that can also... The O's figure that's going to come out does have the O's combo change gimmick, as well as the improvements in size and proportions in the overall look and style from the Real-Bone series. So everyone wants that, as well as the promise of more future O's figures in the line, so they can do the different combo changes. That is really cool. Unfortunately, that O's figure is also regular release, and people out there, including the shops, just keeping up all the stock to drive the price up, because it does look like it's gonna be a really nice figure. But I think what we learned here today is, as nice as it looks from the official stuff, yeah, there's gonna be some problems there. So I hope the prices don't go crazy skyrocket when the old figures come out, and I hope everyone who actually genuinely wants the figure can get themselves a copy and not feed into the price hiking people. At the end of the day, I'm still glad I picked up this Kiva Figuarts, and if I do see the price drop a bit more as more and more stock pile up in Japan, which will affect Hong Kong as well, I will probably pick up a second one, just because that leg is starting to really irritate me. And I also look forward to picking up the O's figure, but like this one, I probably won't be able to pick it up in the first month because I couldn't secure a pre-order and I don't want to pay crazy prices for it, so just gotta wait a little bit, I guess. As always, if you found this video useful, please click the thumbs up button, or if you don't like it, click the thumbs down, screw you. You can also support this channel by turning ad block off, sharing this video with other people, or leaving a comment below how you feel about this figure, and are you excited for the O's figure that's gonna come out soon. All the photos you see in the video can be seen on Facebook, the highlights on DeviantArt and Instagram, or if you want some high quality downloads of those photos, you can click on the Imgur or Tumblr link in the video description below. Take care, have a nice day, I will see you guys soon, bye bye now.